Join us to commemorate 75 years of the Battle of Kohima and and pay remembrance to the brave men and women who gave their lives in service for our today.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Chief Secretary, Government of Nagaland, Mr. Temjen Toy, will give the welcome address and opening remarks.
75 years ago, a sleepy little town called Kohima found itself in the middle of a modern war the people did not comprehend. Two imperialist powers, Britain and Japan, had brought their war to this distant land of the Naga people. The blast of bombs and the cry of suffering became a common phenomenon. Destruction, hunger, disease, all kinds of sufferings and loss of lives followed it. It was a nightmare for the Naga people. For the main contenders, too, there were heavy consequences. In the words of the historian Robert Lyman, the invasion of India was not only Japan's last bid for victory, but its last imperial land grab. It was also the last time Britain was forced to defend its empire. It was a bitter military defeat for Japan. For Britain too, its empire would start crumbling as new countries began to be born soon after the Second World War, including the birth of a new and independent India. Today, 75 years later, all the principal players of that war, Japan, Britain, Indians, and Nagas, are again congregated on the soil of Kohima, over which the war was fought. Today, we welcome you all to our land in peace and friendship. The concept of a global village is no longer just an ideal, but a necessity as well. When the planet itself is in great peril, everybody needs everybody else. In a war, nobody really wins. All suffer. Both Britain and Japan, and perhaps Japan to a greater degree because of defeat, suffered immensely. But out of that suffering, both Britain and Japan have recovered and have since joined the ranks of the most advanced economies in the world. In recent years, both Japan and Britain have also begun to cast their eyes and to look back on the peoples over whose lands they once fought, the peoples who at the time suffered silently through a war that was not theirs. We are grateful for every help that has been extended to our people. As part of the Indian Union, the government of India has been generous to us. But we are still languishing behind on so many fronts, and we need hands of friendship. Our people too have aspirations, and living as we are in the middle of the most complex and difficult ethnic regions of Asia, our people are asking, what is our God-given role today? It is such a thinking that led us to choose as a theme, remembrance, reconciliation, and rebirth for this 75th anniversary of the Battle of Kohima. And we are happy that you have honored us with your presence today on this important occasion. Thank you. Arigato gozaimasu. Shukriya.
Now, the Naga choir will present to us a welcome song.
Oh If there be any peace, any love, if there be any joy, let them rise. If there be any good, any justice, if there is any grace, let it rise. If there is any bread, any sound, if there is any light, let it rise.
Hey, cái bệnh nhân phải gì vậy? Thế là thâu, thế là bé cái bệnh nhân sao vậy? Thế thì sao? Giờ nhà ha, giờ ba mươi một cái mẹ, để hết sợ. Cái gì mẹ? Nagaland đâu nu? Anh cái rất thâu. Arana te hatsa Japan para akya kunu ba kakame le jarinu shidi chebe arana che pe mege meviwa ahatal hale akya kuthewa aribe te bakawa Hey, mo, ita, kitumu, kemeji se, sezamona, amine dukibia, kemeri seze, alo seho, dele putivute, kekiyo putoho, kikidi, apakadi. 아는 마다가 알아서 뒤지가 까부대 제 뒤지 해태냐 방문이제 운이바호 내 잡으누 안 셔터라 안 나가 비제 터라 아빠가 왜 지서디 태면부 가베티게 세서서 알아서 그때 제다도 했어요. 제다도 했어요.说可是为了个丢的说我日子我以为可是为么说자빠면 뭐들이 각담이 게 보고 저 차례 각담이 뭐들이 자빠면 보고 저 차례 그 위우 책 페이지 그저 허저로 그 토트려로 그 나가 타라리 체해지 그 토스지 쓰지 어디 탈라누 하고 레서서 Commemoration, Japan Bunyabu. Akehimia, Clamonde, J. Zebia, no was ever as a whole, no was yet.
Shuri Nephew Rio, Honorable Chief Minister of Nagaland, Sir Dominic Askis, High Commissioner of the United Kingdom, Miss Akiko MacDonald, Chairperson, Burma Campaign Society, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On this day, after the passage of 75 years of the Battle of the Kohima, we have gathered here to offer our heartfelt prayers to the fallen souls. Our sympathy and deepest sorrow go out of their bereaved families and loved ones. The Battle of Kohima is etched in our hearts as one of the fiercest and toughest battles during the Second World War. It took a toll on thousands of precious lives of the Indian National Army, the British Commonwealth Force, and Japanese Army. The people of Nagaland and its neighbors, including Myanmar, had to endure severe suffering and pains. We should never forget that peace we enjoy today is built over such tremendous sacrifices. Squarely facing the history of the past, Japan renews its commitment to never repeat the devastation of the war. We look back in order to look forward to the future. I'd like to thank Shuri Nephew Rio and the state of Nagaland for providing us with this precious opportunity to make such a reflection and reaffirm our reconciliation with the past. Genuine reconciliation is only possible through dedicated efforts by us all. I'd like to pay a special tribute to those who have dedicated themselves to such tireless struggles for reconciliation over these long years. Now, the relations of countries which once fought with each other have been transformed for the good. Japan currently enjoys relations at their best with India, the United Kingdom, and the United States. I'm grateful for the true partnership and friendship we have nurtured over the decades. Moreover, the relationship between Japan and the Northeastern region, including Nagaland, has become substantially closer. This is my second visit to Kohima. The people of Nagaland have always warmly welcomed me and made me feel at home. They have indeed been tremendously kind to all the visitors from Japan. Many of you have helped the efforts of excavating war remains with utmost sincerity. I feel a sense of warmth inside when thinking of the bonds emanating from our deep historical links. As such, I, as the ambassador of Japan, wanted to do something to contribute to this region. 2 years ago, I established the Act East Forum together with the Foreign Secretary of India to help accelerate the development of the Northeastern region and expand our people-to-people exchanges. Japan attaches great importance to people-to-people exchanges, in particular among the youth. The youngsters will shape our future, and there can be nothing more rewarding than investing in them. Japan has been implementing the IRIS program for 2 years now, inviting young Nagas and other youth from the region. Japan is also willing to welcome people from Northeast through the technical intern training program, as for example, apprentices, care workers. I am confident that participants of these programs who gain the real experience in Japan will eventually become instrumental in making our bonds even stronger in years to come. I would like to further pursue my efforts to strengthen the ties between our people. I like to promote intellectual dialogue with the people of the Northeast so that we can think about and act together on facing our challenges. Spring is a time when the new things start. As we gather here on this spring day, I once again solemnly pay homage to the lives lost. At the same time, I like to reiterate our gratitude for the path we could take together since then, and for the path we will march together from now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. And may we request you to kindly accept a memento to commemorate this auspicious occasion.
Thank you, Chief Secretary, for your introductory words and warm welcome. And thank you, Your Excellency Sri Nifyu Rio, Chief Minister, for hosting us here in these beautiful hills to commemorate the brave sacrifices given during the Battle of Kohima. We are here on the 75th anniversary of the Battle of Kohima to remember the British, Indian and other Commonwealth service personnel who lost their lives during the battle, together with the Nagas, the non-combatants who died valiantly supporting the successful defense of the Kohima Ridge against a numerically superior force. General Slim said of the Nagas that no soldier of the 14th Army will ever think of them but with admiration and affection. Those emotions are shared today by the children of those soldiers, as some in this hall bear witness. This was a vital turning point in the Second World War. Their sacrifice helped to change the course of history. We also remember the sacrifice and the courage of those who came through a grueling march, through extraordinary, challenging terrain, to attempt to dislodge the small garrison at Kohima from its position astride the Dimapur-Imphal road. We recognize that these too were fathers, brothers, and sons who fought with intense bravery and devotion in the name of their country under incredible privations. It is through sacrifices such as theirs and those of the defenders of this ridge that we are in a better place today. Sustained by mutual understanding and respect, we are determined to stand stronger together as members of an international community committed to the preservation of the rule of law and underpinned by resolute professional armed forces to deter against those who would have it otherwise. Today, I had the privilege to lay a wreath at the Commonwealth War Graves Commission Cemetery in Kohima, alongside my very good friend, the Japanese Ambassador, His Excellency Kenji Hiromatsu, and with representatives of some of the British regiments who fought there 75 years ago. And I'd like, on this occasion, to say how grateful I am to the extraordinary work of the Commonwealth War Graves Commission in their preservation and presentation of a cemetery which in every way is a fitting tribute to those who fell here in the Second World War. But we're assembled here today to recognize also that despite a great bitter battle 75 years ago, well-matched and ferocious enemies then have become powerful collaborators today. Today, India, Japan, and the United Kingdom stand together as three great democracies. We work with each other for peace and prosperity globally, and we are committed to facing today's challenges in partnership. As members of the United Nations, we have common purpose in preserving and strengthening the international system of cooperation that emerged from the turmoil of the first half of the last century. As independent, proud countries, we cherish hard-won freedoms and those democratic traditions and values that are at the core of who we are today. As major modern economies who celebrate the rich connections between our countries, we work within the G20 and elsewhere in the interests of global economic stability and human development in the interests of all. As we, the United Kingdom, continue to invest in our most vital global relationships, I hope we will be ambitious for what we can achieve through partnership together and truly be a force for good. We are extremely grateful to the Honourable Chief Minister for bringing us together to inaugurate a year of commemorative activities, a year planned not only to remember the events of 75 years ago that took place here in Kohima, but also to educate and inform those who live here and visitors alike of the efforts of their forefathers to secure a safe and a secure future for their country. Thank you.
Thank you for your message, sir, and we request you to kindly accept a token gift of a memento to commemorate the occasion.
I close my eyes and I can see a world that's waiting up for me, that I call my own. Through the dark, through the door, through where no one's been before, but it feels like home. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say I've lost my mind. I don't care if they call me crazy. We can live in a world that we design. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me away. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams, it's all it's gonna take. Oh, a million dreams for the world we're gonna make. There's a house we can build, every room inside is filled with things from far away. Special things I compiled, each one there to make you smile on a rainy day. They can say we force a mind. See, I don't care if they call us crazy. Run away to the world that we million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams, that's all it's gonna take. Oh, a million dreams for the world we're gonna make. However big, however small, let me be a part of it all. Share your dreams with me. We may be right, we may be wrong, but say that you will bring me along to the world I see, to the world we close our eyes to see, we close our eyes to see. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are dreaming me away. A million dreams fade away. Think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. A million dreams for the world we're gonna make. For the world we're gonna make.
A million dreams is all it's going to take to make a better world. Thank you, Keema.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, और हमारे बहादुर जवान, the Honorable Chief Minister, the British High Commissioner, the Ambassador of Japan to India, Miss Sylvia May, Miss Akiko MacDonald, and all other distinguished guests present. I'm honored to be here today to mark the Platinum Jubilee commemoration of the Battle of Kohima as we come together in remembrance and pay tribute to some of the finest and bravest men and women who fought this battle. It was 75 years ago, from March to July 1944, when the British, the Indians, the Gurkhas, the Japanese, and several others clashed in the hills and the valleys of Kohima and Imphal. In the rough terrain and dense forest of the region, these intense battles, which lasted over 3 months, stamped Kohima on the world map forever. It is hard for all of us here to understand the upheavals of these battles. Earl Mountbatten wrote after the Battle of Kohima, and I quote, "Only those who have seen the horrific nature of the country under these conditions will be able to appreciate your achievements." This sums up a great truth about the Battle of Kohima and emphasizes the magnitude of the battle to all, the British, the Japanese, the Indians, the Nagas, and in fact, all of humanity. But it's been 75 years since then, and it is time to change the narrative to remembrance, reconciliation, and rebirth. Today we are gathered here to bow our heads deeply for the souls who died valiantly and to express our feelings of profound grief and our sincere condolences. Kohima was the scene of perhaps the bitterest fighting of the whole Burma campaign. Fierce hand-to-hand fighting took place in the garden of the Deputy Commissioner's bungalow and around the tennis court, which we are all aware. It was as if both sides were possessed by an equal determination to win. To the men who fought here, it was a battle like no other. They fought amidst inclement weather, lack of food, scarce ammunition, yet with a steely resolve to fight till the end. The photographs displayed outside, they said all and much more. Like most battles that took place in the Southeastern Asian theatre, the Battle of Kohima remains relatively less known because the world at that time was too preoccupied with the war in Europe. Incidentally, the 3rd Battalion Assam Rifles of the Indian Army which is currently stationed here in Kohima, also fought this battle. It is this battalion which held on to the famous tennis court till the end, along with other units. 50 soldiers of the battalion laid down their lives, and their sacrifice was recognized by a plethora of awards, including 2 military crosses. Their brave soldiers are also present in our midst today with even great resolve than before, seated to your right. It's also extremely important for me to pay my sincere respect to valiant Nagas who endured the greatest battle on their land. For the 2 opposing forces, it was about victory and defeat, far from their respective countries. But for the Naga people, amidst whom the battle was fought, it was a transformative moment of historical reckoning, having far-reaching consequences for their future to follow. Throughout the Battle of Kohima, the Nagas were a constant source of intelligence and carried hundreds of wounded soldiers to safety and saved their lives. A large number of Nagas were mustered in the form of the labor corps, the stretcher bearers, informers, and soldiers. But for the Nagas, neither side could have fought these battles with such ferocity and intensity. As they say, tradition and history enrich the present. The pain and losses endured in the battle were a source of grief, but are also a matter of great pride and inspiration for future generations. I am sanguine that the people of Nagaland will be spurred to take on all the challenges of the future that face them. I would like to thank each and every one associated with the conduct of this event, especially the members of the Kohima Education Society, for such impeccable arrangements. Really well done. In conclusion, this battle will remind us forever the sacrifices made by truly valiant soldiers, as enunciated by the famous words on the Kohima War Memorial: "When you go home, tell them of us and say, for your tomorrow, we gave our today." Thank you. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. And may we also request you to kindly accept a memento as a commemoration of this occasion.
Thank you so much. Very kind. Thank you so much. 1 minute, can I have myself? Yeah. Thank you.
Chief Minister, Chief Secretary, British High Commissioner, and all the honoured guests here, and ladies and gentlemen. My father, Gordon Graham, visited Keema 3 times. The first time was in 1944 to fight in a battle that was part of a world war. The second time was in 1954, when memory was still strong. And the third and last time was half a century later, in 2005, after he and fellow veterans set up the Kohima Educational Trust to honour the people of the Naga Hills who had given the British unstinting support at great cost to themselves during the battle. It was that second visit which sowed the germ of this idea. He was taken around the Naga village by a small boy who showed him all the tracks lined with bullet-holed corrugated iron, tracks which Gordon felt he should have known better than the boy, who had only been born at the time of the battle. He took Gordon to the top of the hill in the Naga village where the Cameron Memorial sits, inscribed with the names of some of those who died there. The Nagas had remained in the hearts of the British veterans. The British soldiers went home, it is true, and resumed their lives lived before the war started. Many never talked about it. But there is no doubt that the soldiers who fought in Nagaland, at Keema, never forgot the Nagas. A bond seemed to have been formed that you never heard mentioned by veterans of other battles during that huge world war. For Gordon, life resumed as a newspaper correspondent in Bombay, where he stayed for 10 years after the war, and later on as a publisher in New York and the UK. He, like many others, never spoke about the war or their part in it, but the memory stayed on. He joined an organisation called the Burma Campaign Fellowship Group, who believed in reconciliation between the Japanese and the British, and he became friendly with Masao Hirakubo, a gentleman who had also fought at Kohima. Gordon visited Japan many times as a businessman, but on one particular trip, this included a dinner with Japanese veterans of the battle. They reminisced. And still the memory lingered, and the feeling that more should be done for the Nagas was always in his mind. At this time, Gordon was invited onto a committee to the plan of the 60th anniversary of the battle. These annual events are held in York, the then home of the 2nd British Division, and also home to the Kohima Memorial, which is at the Minster, a replica of the one standing here in Kohima. Gordon felt there was a more permanent memorial to create, one not just of memory in stone, but memory of and gratitude to those who had given their unstinting support. And thus the Kohima Educational Trust was born. From small beginnings, fellow veterans got together and, wanting to honour the Nagas, put their often limited resources into the trust. But without the help of the people here, this idea would have gone no further. Without the wise counsel and hard work of Charles Chasey, Fele Kazizi, and Dr. Nully, nothing more could have been achieved. It is a trust founded on war and memory, but the aims are very much for the future. Created to assist with educational needs, our sister organisation, the Kohima Educational Society, run a growing programme of scholarships, now totalling over 750 have been given in total. They are designed to help 14 to 18-year-olds with their school fees and associated costs. Our chairman, Dr. Nully, runs a wonderful programme called Mind Your Health, helping teach young women about basic health care in the more remote villages. We have created a library, books about the battles, but also vocational titles and reference works. Last year, a project interviewing many Naga veterans was completed, recording their memories on film, a project which the KES president personally undertook. Together with Harry Fessett, Charles Chasey wrote the story from the Naga perspective, and something not done before, despite the hundreds of books on the subject. This is the first time we can read the words from the Naga veterans themselves. Last year, we launched the Gordon Graham Prize for Naga Literature, the winners of which will be announced soon when we will award the prizes. This award has been created to recognise and reward the knowledge keepers and idea givers of Naga society, and we were delighted with the standard of entries in this inaugural year. We are looking forward to develop this programme and announcing its second year. And it is thanks to the Kohima Educational Society that these projects are all made possible. One veteran said to us once how he could never understand why two armies came from thousands of miles away, from opposite directions, to meet in their village, destroying it in the process. For the British and Commonwealth soldier, they came thousands of miles to a country unimagined before the war. But to the Naga, it was home. And I bring today those thoughts of the many veterans still alive today who have not forgotten you. Gordon's second visit in 1954 moved him to write an article which was subsequently published in the Times of London. It was entitled "The Trees Are All Young on Garrison Hill." He was passionate about the relationship between the past, the present, and the future. Kohima 1954 is not only a moving description of Gordon's feelings and reaction to his return to the battlefield, but it is an illustration of his desire that from the memories of war, something else should be created, and the gratitude felt was turned into a way of giving back. And that is KET. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam, for your powerful message, and may we request you to kindly accept a memento.
His Excellency, Mr. Nepiu Rio, I'm very delighted to be here and very most privileged to be invited for a special event. Now, distinguished guests, and as well as most honorable ambassadors and high commissioners, I'd like to give a little speech. Maybe it could be a little bit longer. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Akiko MacDonald, a daughter of Kohima and Burma veteran. My father was Japanese. His name is Taiji Urayama. He fought here, this place, and I presume he was standing at the hill of Chedema. The day he was ready to charge to the Kohima, he was told to retreat from the point. And that day onward, his life has changed, and so did mine. So I would like to share with you my story, as well as many other veterans of both countries of Japan and Britain. So please treat me as a messenger of war reconciliation. Years back, Burma Campaign Society was established in 2002 by Masao Hirakubo. As he already mentioned by Sylvia May, he was, as well as Gordon Graham, both are Kohima veterans. I would like to also introduce my new friend, Mr. Richard Day. He's also a Kohima veteran. Could you give a round of applause, please? He's very kind enough to stand beside me. So please, Richard, bear with me. I will start to talk about lots of stories. Lots of veterans of both countries, Japanese and British, who came back to their own homeland. They agonized many years. Every night, some of them had nightmares, as you can imagine. Some of them keep drinking, as you can imagine. Some are not to talk about it, or someone who like to talk about good memory, but they don't want to talk about atrocity of real war. Until those people turn over 60, they retired of their living life, which is professionally working, and then their children grow up. They started to look back about the past. What that Kohima battle is all about? Well, what's that the Burma campaign is all about? What's on us? What the World War II is all about? They started to rethink and properly resonance how it happened and all affected the people's life. Now, as you see, I was very much influenced by both veterans who approached me, or I approached them. There is a common thought they tell me is, why am I alone survived? Why my life was given? They're agonizing many, many years until the time they realized it. When they want to feel much better or give us some kind of reasons they are still living, they thought, why don't I meet enemies? The British veterans thought they wanted to see Japanese. And Japanese also thought they want to meet former enemies. That was the starting point. So Hirakubo met a couple of Welsh former Burma veterans. One of them was POW. So that started in 1983 and later formed the Burma Campaign Fellowship Group. And then word of mouth went around in a group of Burma stars. All the veterans started to talk about that could be a very good idea. So later on, altogether about 7 years, each group of 20 British veterans visited Japan. They encountered former enemy. The place was in Tokyo and called Kudokan. Surprisingly, 2,000 of Japanese Burma veterans came to welcome British veterans of 20 people. They were so overwhelmed and but certainly speechless. They put the chest up like this and start marching through. Then all the Japanese stood beside them and then giving lots of applause. And then they sat during the lunch hour. They could not speak, of course, Japanese, English, but they brought old map and then pointing at each other, where were you 1944, April the 4th? Where are you 1945, the day that Japanese emperor declared the war ends? All this kind of conversation exchanged to each other. Then ever since, British veterans came back again, they talk about it. Japanese Kohima veterans came afterwards and they visited in York. And many people perhaps don't know what York is about. There is certainly a replica of Kohima and epitaph where Japanese Kohima veterans pay the visit and laid the wreath and added, joined with the Kohima veterans there. And afterwards, they did lots of reconciliation activities. I can't really name everything. They also came to Kohima and very high up somewhere, can't remember, but Kohima Cathedral. They did also ceremony of reconciliation and then memorial services too. So history goes on until 2002. They realized that, we achieved a tremendous thing. We want to close this society. Then Kohima veteran Masao Hirakubo took over. Since then, they wanted to disseminate how they made reconciliation, how they made friendship, exchanged more stories, and then lots of discussion meetings they had, and debate was going on. And this is a conditioned debate, meaning equal terms. It does not mean one is wrong or the other is right. To be equal terms, to give the fact of what they have experienced. And so this is the true reconciliation is all about. Unfortunately, in 2002, Masao Hirakubo died, and the rest of the members of Kohima and Burma and Impal veterans wondered what to do next. And incidentally, Masao Hirakubo met me because realized that my father fought in Kohima, happened to be a war colleague. So definitely, he wanted me to join. I refused so many times. Every day he called me. It's like a boyfriend chasing me every day. Even I was working place, in office or a customer's place, he just kept calling. So eventually I gave in. Okay, I just joined one time. But I realized that the meeting or event was not balanced. So I gave a view of my way of thinking, because I'm the second generation. We don't want any conflicts or war for future. I have 2 children. As you see, I'm married to Englishman. I have 2 children. We all live in the UK. We don't want to see future animosities of the children or their children have Japanese blood in it, which we learned so much during Second World War, in concentration camp in Germany, Poland, what have you. And I don't have to explain more. So this is the way I was thinking. I want to talk about, or I listen to, or many ways to understand what they think, what they feel, what they experienced based on the fact. And this is the way it started. And Richard, quite recently we met, and I said, can I come to see you at home? Unfortunately, I didn't have much time, and Richard was also engaged, I suppose. And eventually he came here today, so I'm so delighted he's standing with me. One thing I would like to say is about, for example, international marriage. My father certainly usually people would say, go against the marriage. When I was going out with my boyfriend about 7 years in Tokyo, we decided to get married. And I told my husband, then it's a whole boyfriend, you got to come to my parents and you have to ask my father's permission for our marriage. So we went to my parents' house and then talked about it. And then guess what he said? Oh my gosh, during the war, I fought against British. And then lost the war, I was captured by British. Now, you too. Ever since, until he died last year. But each time we go back to Tokyo and see my father, he could not recognize me sometimes, but he does certainly recognize my husband. Often they drink together, and they made very, very good friends till my father passed away. So he didn't have any grudge or anything like that, but just that he had trauma of the war. He drank so much every single day, and that bothered me, my life, so much. So that was that simple question, why he is like that, why he's not ordinary father. And this is the way I started to ask a question from my childhood, but I didn't know really about the war itself until I got involved with these activities. I met so many good people, those both veterans. I would like to give some few names if you like, if I may. For instance, of course, I've never seen Lieutenant General Kotok Sato, but his decision made a life change so much because he decided to retreat Kohima. My father survived. Mr. Hirokubo survived. Consequently, I was born. Taiji Urayama, yes, my father. He was a lieutenant of mountain artillery, and he was a veterinarian. Masao Hirakubo. He was the logistic officer. And, excuse me, I'm drying my throat. Masao Hirakubo is a pioneer of reconciliations, so I'll come up to it later. Michael Sharp, captain of 19th Indian Division. Charles Kobara, he was a POW of Burma campaign. Roy Welland, I would like to introduce Roy Welland a little bit more. Gordon Graham, who inspired me so much to carry on reconciliation activities. Frank Gone, I met him in New York. He told me he hated Japanese until he saw on TV 2011 Tohoku earthquake and tsunami disasters. He saw it, he was so shocked, and he said, sorry, I'm going to swear a little bit. He said, what did he say? I just remembered. I forgot it now. Yes, I remember now. He said, oh, my God, poor bastard. That's what he said. And he asked his wife to bring a checkbook, immediately sign it, and a large amount of donation he made for Tohoku earthquake, how to say, victims. Yes, that's what he did. And ever since he told me this, he allowed his family to buy Japanese products. Frank White, he is a war photographer and cameraman. He has to be up very front line to report, taking photographs for war scenes. He started in Jakarta. He told me he was saved by Japanese twice. Once in Jakarta and one in Burma, which is an incredible story he told me. So he loved Japan right from the start of after the war. He visited Japan and explained about his story, why he survived. Philip Mailing was the deputy chairman of the Burma Campaign Society. After Hirakubo died, he supported me all along. Tom Bury is Impal Campaign Red Hill veteran. He loved Japan because after the war he went to Japan to manage and keep in order of the Japanese people. And eventually I learned yesterday, Ray Charles did too. You went to Kyoto? You went to Kyoto after the war. Yeah. Yeah. So he knows, and he speaks a bit of Japanese, by the way. Now, Maurice Francis, he's a very close friend of Masao. He was also a Kohima veteran. Malcolm Connolly, I only met 1 year he died. He died last year. I talked to him. I knew that he hated Japanese, but you never know. I contacted him, and then that conversation lasted half an hour, and he agreed to have an interview for NHK Broadcasting TV for making of documentary, which you can see that on YouTube or our website. James Evans, he's an Impal campaign. He also, until his death, he supported me all along. Bill Smiley, he was the closest friend of mine. He's a Chindit veteran. He also told me he was saved his life by Japanese soldiers. Now, Major General Lyle Grant, he was the chairman of a Burma Campaign Fellowship Group. And Peter Heppel, John Hutchin, Frank Anderson. Later I met them. They are all Royal Air Force Chindit veterans. So I just gave you name a few. I would like to give tribute to those people because I feel I'm the messenger. Oh, thank you very much. For how they experienced the war and how happy they achieved the reconciliation. I called Roy Whelan that if he could come with me to Kohima. However, he could not make it, so he sent a message to all of you. He sent email to me. Dear Akiko, sorry to be so late in writing to you, but I don't have a lot of time as Roy is not so well now. I do hope that message below is okay. Now his message. I would have loved to be with you all in Kohima for the 75th anniversary of the Battle of Kohima, in which took part, and other places is in Burma. I have visited Kohima since then, and I have been to Japan, met some of their veterans, including Akiko's father, with my partner, Ruth. It is the time after 75 years to forget and forgive any animosity. We will be thinking of you all at Commonwealth Kohima War Ceremony. Roy Whelan and his partner, Ruth Smith. And that is his message. So, closing my speech, I would like to have two things. So please bear with me. This is a speech that Gordon Graham wrote to me in, it was not 2009. It was that Britain and Japan are commemorating or celebrating 150th anniversary of commerce and friendship. I think it was, Amity anniversary. So I made an event for symposium based on the war and reconciliation. But he could not make it, he was in New York. So he sent a message to me to read it out for the public. So this is a very, very good one. So I'd like to share with you Gordon Graham's speech. I first met Masao Hirakubo in 1984 and remained in touch with him until his death. He was a man with the courage of his convictions and refused to be rebuffed by those who did not agree with him. He demonstrated how the spirit of one individual can influence the views of many. I always felt a particular affinity with Masao because he was in the same part of the Kohima battle that I was. You might say that we almost met for years before we actually did. If I were with you, I would ask you and your guests to consider this question. What can Burma or Kohima battle or Burma campaign teach us about our world today? This question, to my mind, supersedes the challenge of reconciliation, which has now been met at least by those who are ready to meet it. Now we should move on the deeper, less emotional question, such as folly and the causes of war, which the Burma campaign was an egregious example. It belongs to an increasingly distant past, which is worth studying only to illuminate the present and to point the way for the future. Reconciliation to be seen only as a first step. The next step is to study and understand the event which made reconciliation necessary. If this is not done, the lessons of the Burma campaign or Imperial campaigns or Battle of Kohima will become irrelevant. It was, after all, only one corner of the vast Pacific War. But it was unique because it involved many nations, not only Japan and Britain, but the United States, China, India, Burma, and even Africa. In retrospect, one can see that it was a microcosm of our divided world, which is still divided today. The generation which experienced the folly and the tragedy of war in Burma is not almost gone. If they have one wish, which they all share, it is that there should be no more war. Former enemies speaking in unison have powerful voices. With warm regards and wishes, best wishes. I believe this is still relevant for today. I was asked a few years ago, I was engaged in making production of NHK Info campaign documentary, and in India made a long series and the story of my story, and a story of my father, and a story of Battle of Kohima. And I came here, and for the first time, standing of many places, villages, mountain villages, and I was so shocked of the people voicing their opinions to me. Initially, they were reluctant because they didn't know who Japanese are. They felt for many years they were neglected, they were never been existed to the world. They told me the Japanese soldiers, they call them, they are coming from jungle over the mountains, so they are jungle people. That's what happened. When they arrived in Kohima villages, they told them to supply the food. But the overwhelming numbers of Japanese veterans, over 12,000 people, how can small villages can feed them? Such minorities, small numbers of population in Kohima. So consequently, all the food just disappeared. The British came, look, Japanese are coming, you got to escape, and then go to the jungle. And then they hand over a rifle. If you see any Japanese, you shoot them. And then those village, Kohima, all people told me, how can we shoot human being? Instead, we just killed birds because we are also starving. This is a very, very inspiring story and overwhelming story. I thought, oh, now I realize that we have forgotten those people. We have forgotten the people in Manipur, people in Nagaland. I started to talk to many people, including former chief minister of this state of Nagaland and also Manipuri, that you has to be included for the reconciliations. As you see now, this is my dream came true. Thank you very much for this. But last moment, just bear with me. I would like to recite a poem which made a Japanese soldier, but he will join me for reading a poem. And this turned out to be a song before, but excuse me. Can you read that now?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
Have you got glasses?
Yes.
No, we do it together. He's reluctant to have a long speech like I do, so you could join me this way. So that they can hear you.
Right.
Yeah? All right. You start.
I've been asked to read this at very short notice. Watashi wa taihen hazukashi. Yeah? It's a Japanese poem in English. End of the war blues. The sword into its sheath, as if it were an ordeal by heaven. Rain is falling, as if tears of sorrow of soldiers. I can forget the war as it happened in the past, but I can never forget the faces of my dear friends. That's the end of the poem.
Thank you very much indeed. Thank you. And Unpeje, thank you. Thank you, Peje, thank you.
Thank you, madam. Kindly accept a memento of the occasion.
Oh, I see. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Honorable Chief Minister of Nagaland, Mr. Nipyu Rio, will now address the gathering.
His Excellency Mr. Kenji Hiramachu, Ambassador of Japan to India, and Honorable Sir Dominic Anthony Garrick, Esquit, British High Commissioner to India, Lieutenant General Rajiv Shirohi, General Officer Commanding Three Corps, other dignitaries and officers in uniform and civil from all over the world, dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen. It is the privilege for the state of Nagaland to host the dignitaries to commemorate this 75th anniversary of the Battle of Kohima. Today, as we commemorate the 75th anniversary of one of the most critical battles of the Second World War, the Battle of Kohima, which was decisive in leading to the end of the World War II. I salute all our brave soldiers who answered to the call of duty and sacrificed their today for our tomorrow. I also remembered those who endured unimaginable suffering as prisoners of war, and we honor the ultimate sacrifice of thousands of British, Indian, and Japanese soldiers who laid down their lives in Kohima. To them and to all our brave soldiers who served in the Second World War, those who are no longer with us, and our proud veterans today, our debt of gratitude can never be repaid. We live in freedom because of their brave service. We are launching the year-long commemoration program of the Battle of Kohima today with a theme of remembrance, reconciliation, and rebirth. We remember the brave soldiers who sacrificed their lives for their nations, far, far away from their motherland, for a cause that was for the greater good of humanity. As we have listened to the former speakers, Kohima was the theater of the war in 1944, and the Nagas were drawn into it on both sides, some with British and some with Japanese. 75 years hence, we need to reconcile with history and look forward to a future based on the firm foundation of peace and brotherhood. When we look at our guest today, the relationship with the UK and Japan over the last 75 years stands a model of power of reconciliation. Former adversaries have become steadfast allies and are working together to advance common interests and universal values in Asia and globally. 75 years ago, this partnership was unimaginable. Today, it is a fitting reflection of our shared interest, capabilities, and values, and I'm confident that it will continue to deepen in the decades to come. I compliment the Kohima Educational Trust, set up by the British veterans of the Battle of Kohima, for preserving the legacy in a true spirit of remembrance, reconciliation, and rebirth. The contribution towards assisting the education of Naga children is truly commendable. Today, as we mark the 75th year of the Battle of Kohima, we look to the future with hope. End of Second World War and creation of a new world order based on shared ideals of cooperation and working together has led the world to what it is today. The dividends of peace are here for all of us to see. Our nation today is at the cusp of history amongst the fastest growing nations of the world. We have reconciled with the British who ruled India for over 100 years. We are working with Japan on not only technologically challenging projects like the bullet train, but we are also partnering with JICA, the Japan International Cooperation Agency, for various development projects. In Nagaland, we are implementing JICA supports for Nagaland forest management projects, for biodiversity conservation through community participation, livelihood improvement, and institutional strengthening. We look forward to many such projects with mutual support and coordination for the benefit of our people and community. Nagaland is a small state that was witness to the Battle of Kohima, a battle which was not directly about the Naga people. Our city center with a common wall cemetery and a famous tennis court was witness to one of the fiercest and decisive battles of the Second World War. Post-Second World War, Nagaland was witness to more violence and bloodshed, in which precious lives were lost. However, the past 2 decades, we have been peaceful, and Nagaland is now moving towards on the path of development with its youthful population. With our rich cultural heritage and traditions and green and serene surroundings, we have huge tourism potentials that is realized through tourism. Tourists coming for various tribal festivals and Hornbill Festival, which is held from 1st to 10th December every year in Kisama, that is near Kohima. We are organizing many festivals in all districts coinciding with the respective tribal festivals for promotion of tourism. Yesterday, I had attended an owling festival in Mon district, a tribe of the Konyaks, which is a part of mini Hornbill Festival. This commences from yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And today is another big day where they will be taking up traditional log drum pulling ceremony by the whole community. And tomorrow will be Women's Day of the festival, exclusively for women. They are attempting for the Guinness World Records by displaying the largest traditional cognac dance by women in numbering plus 5,000 women. Today, as we reflect with gratitude on the service and sacrifice of so many, we also realize the value peace has for all of us. We are indeed grateful to our soldiers for keeping us safe. And we thank you and respect you for your service. Peace and reconciliation is the way forward. Your war ended here in our land, whilst our began. After many years of hardship and suffering, we are now in the process of ceasefire and political dialogue. We hope that you will support us as we move forwards towards our endeavor of realizing genuine peace for a shared harmonious future where we spread the message of peace and universal brotherhood. With this few words, I wish a year-long celebration of 75th anniversary of the Battle of Kohima a grand success. Thank you and Jai Hind.
Ladies and gentlemen, we also have in our midst this morning Mr. Kenichi Okuyama, former mayor of Shonai City, which is the home city of General Sato. Mr. Okuyama has brought to us a message from the people of Shonai City, which he will now read out to us. We call upon him to kindly take the stage.
本日この場にいることを心から嬉しく感じております。私は日本の山形県から参りました。名前は奥山健一と申します。
Your Excellency and distinguished honorable guests, and ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to be here with you today. My name is Kenichi Okuyama, and I came from a town called Shonai, Yamaguchi Prefecture. The town is situated in the cold north of Japan, and the snow season now is finally over and spring is beginning.
飛ばしました。この度、ナガランド州政府より1944年の戦闘から75年目を迎えるにあたりまして、私に対してご招待いただいたことを心から感謝いたします。そして、かつて戦闘の地となり、多くの被害を被ったインド、コヒマの方々にお詫びを申し上げたいと思います。
On this occasion, which marks the 70th of Battle of Kohima, 1944, and I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to take the government of Nagaland and Chief Minister Mr. Nephew Rio for inviting me to join the commemoration event. I thank you.
ところで、私の住む町は、インド・コヒマの戦闘で、英国と日本が戦ったときに、日本の師団長であるの一人であります、佐藤光徳中将が生まれた町です。佐藤光徳中将は、激しい戦闘の中で唯一、上部の命令に従わず兵を撤退を命じました。戦いで多くの兵士が亡くなる中、日本に生還できた兵隊たちにより、その遺徳を検証する日が立てられました。マクドナルド・アキコさんのお父さんも生還した兵士の一人であります。
May I take this opportunity to sincerely express my personal apology with the deepest sympathy for causing many war victims in Kohima, Nagaland. May I mention, by the way, a town named Amarume, now Japan, where I live in the same birthplace. The town named Amarume, now Shonai in Japan, where I live, is the same birthplace of the Lieutenant General Kotok Sato of the 31st Division of the Japanese former army. To save his man, General Sato gave an extraordinary order for his soldiers to retreat in the middle of campaigns, which was an unprecedented incident in the Japanese military history. In strictest hierarchical system at that times, a subordinate would never disobey his superior officers' absolute command. Many of the soldiers lost their lives during the battles. However, a few survived, and these soldiers got together when they returned to Japan, built a memorial stone to disseminate the general's true legacy of the good deed in performed to save his man. Mrs. Akiko MacDonald's father was one of the survived of these soldiers.
彼はいずれこのコヒマの地を再興して多くの亡くなった皆様に祈りを捧げることを望んでおりました。その願いは叶えられませんでした。しかし、こうして75年目の今日、同郷の私がこの地を訪れ、インドと英国、そして日本の亡くなった兵士の方々に追悼の祈りを捧げることができることを大変嬉しく感じております。
After the war ended, Lieutenant Sato had always wished to revisit Kohima and to pray for the souls of the war dead. However, General Sato unfortunately passed away before he could realize his wish. Therefore, on behalf of General Sato, I'm very happy to this land to attend memorial to pray for those of soldiers of India, Great Britain, and Japan who died here.
私どもはかつてイギリスのヨーク市にあるコヒマの追悼記念碑も訪問しまして、数年前には私の町に英国からベテランがおいでになり、かつて敵として戦った両国の兵士が泣きながら握手を交わしたことがあります。
In 2013, my friends and I from the same town in Shonai regions visited the Kohima Memorial in York in the UK, where we were welcomed by the several organizations, institutions, and the York military barracks. And in 2014, we welcomed the British Kohima veteran and his group who came to Shonai.
これからもインドと英国の方々と深い理解と交流が長く続き、未来に向けて新しい時代を作っていきたいと思います。どうぞよろしくお願いいたします。
British veteran and two Japanese veterans of the Kohima campaign shed tears and shook hands each other. It is our hope that we create the new era in which we have deeper understanding of India, Britain, and Japan, and continue to exchange friendship forever.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And Umpeje.
Thank you, sir, and kindly accept the token memento in commemoration of the occasion.
The winners of the first Gordon Graham Prize for Naga Literature, the prize of rupees 1 lakh and a certificate each goes to When the River Sleeps by Eastern Kire in the fiction category, and Forgiveness and Politics by Ketosir Aniukevichusa in the non-fiction category. The prize will be handed over to the winners by the Nagaland Chief Minister and the Managing Trustee of the Kohima Educational Trust at a function in Kohima on April 9 at 5:30 p.m. in Hotel Vivor. All of you are most welcome. Most esteemed, respected, honorable, distinguished dignitaries, ladies and gentlemen, allow me the privilege to give the closing remarks of this historically significant program that we are having today. We are aware the very ground on where we are all seated was the witness to the trace of human courage and valor, human who stood steadfastly and endured with blood, sweat, and tears for what they believed to be the truth, worthy of dedication, absolute obedience, and loyalty, even to the extent of offering their own lives for a supreme sacrifice. 75 years on, and today, with a heart full of gratitude, we remember their extraordinary, outstanding, heroic deeds, and they truly deserve to be declared as the brave hearts and heroes of Kohima. At such solemn moment of remembrance, we are grateful to Mr. Medo Keritsu for bestowing ancient traditional Naga blessings to all of us and beyond, even to the souls that raise in our midst forevermore. The Naga choir and the song Lukeva suits our souls with their powerful message in most heart-rending melodious tunes down the corridor of our soul, even reaching out to all the souls that rest in peace here. Thanks for your magnificent performance, truly rising to the occasions. Making this historically solemn occasion most meaningful is by the very presence of His Excellency, Mr. Kenji Hiramatsu, the Japanese ambassador, along with his lady wife, accompanied by his entourage of high-standing personnel. Your Excellency, the words of wisdom has truly knocked down the narrow domestic and international walls, awakening our consciousness to a new horizon of thoughts and actions to benefit humanity at large and our people in particular. Allow me also to humbly acknowledge the very presence of the Honorable Sir Dominic Anthony Gerald Asquith, KCMG, the British High Commissioner, along with his lady wife and his entourage of eminent personnel. Sir, your very presence is most significant, and the words of wisdom truly leads us out from the dreary desert sands of dead habits into the world of clear streams of thoughts and reasoning. Indeed, nothing can be more true and important than what you have stated in your solidarity message. We salute the General Officer Commanding the 3rd Corps, Lieutenant General Rajiv Sirohi, AVSM, VSM. Sir, your message touches the very core of all the soldiers here and to every one of us. Service before self is the door for which emerges, is the door open from where emerges the best that is within every human being. Thank you, General. Mention must be made also of Miss Akiko MacDonald, who is the very person and an epitome of reconciliation in herself, while acknowledging her for the wisdom she has given us about gratitudes and the exemplary reconciliation work that she has done through the Burma Campaign Society. Her father, as we have come to learn, was a Japanese veteran in the Battle of Kohima, and she is now married to a Britisher and lives in the United Kingdom. Thank you so much, Ms. Akiko. We honestly and truly, I cannot be here at this hour pronouncing the concluding remarks without the Kohima Educational Trust. And Ms. Sylvia May has been very kind, studying about how the Kohima Educational Trust has come about as a debt of honor. And because the Kohima Educational Trust was established by the war veterans, but since there are people who have to take care of it here, we are here to see the fulfillment of the debt of honor for which they have. And in that respect, as presently being the chairman of the Kohima Educational Society, I'm probably here to pronounce the concluding remarks. Well, with this historical and significant launching of such a program, it could not have been possible without the visionary leadership of our own Chief Minister, Mr. Nipirio, and his dynamic colleagues, being supported by the most able and brilliant officers in the government of Nagaland. Sir, your speech truly brings memory of the past events to reconciliation among ourselves and other people, giving rise to a rebirth of a new world where we can all coexist and progress together.
Highland. Jehovah, Hãy subscribe cho kênh Ghiền Mì Gõ để không bỏ lỡ
strangers to the dark. Hide away, they say, 'cause we don't want your broken parts. I've learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, no one will love you as you are. But I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. The sharpest words wanna cut me down. I'm gonna stand a flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me, look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. Another round of bullets hit my skin. Well, far away, 'cause today I won't let the shit stay. We are thirsty, and we can't we are warriors, and that's what we become. I won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna stand a flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me, look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. This is me. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I'm gonna stand a flood, gonna drown them out. This is brave, this is Bruce, this is who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. The brave and I scared to be seen, I make no apologies. This is me. The words wanna cut me down. Stand up now, this is me.
인사 하나 뺄게. 수인지 소저라. 그냥 그냥 써 아게 자세 하나 막 하고 오마. 저. 어? 아기. Evet. Avaz. Wave 그래서 네. 바짝거리시네.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now have the most eagerly awaited event, the band display. The pipers and drummers of the combined band of 5-sector Assam Rifles are led by Havildar Mahinder Singh Rawat of 14 Assam Rifles and consists of 28 buglers, drummers and pipers. The band will present 3 Indian tunes and 7 Western tunes today. The band will present 3 Indian tunes and 7 Western tunes today. They will begin with the tune 100 Pipers and end with the epic Kadam Kadam Badhai Jaan, the regimental quick march of the Indian National Army. So without further ado, I present to you the Assam Rifles Band.